5 years ago, we launched this award with the NAACP because we believed that the fight for civil rights didn't end at the doorstep of the digital world. It begins there.
This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Yesterday in my video, I exposed the kind of scumbag Harry and Meghan deem worthy of handling a $100,000 grant to go and do laundry. Today, the couple released in what looks like an AI-generated video announcing the winner at the annual NAACP Image Awards, pre-recorded for tonight's BET broadcast. I know these two make people sick, but it's crucial to listen closely and recognize institutional gaslighting so we can call it out.
And since then, we've honored 4 extraordinary women. Dr. Sophia Noble, Nabia Syed, Dr. Joy Bonwini, and Dr. Alondra Nelson.
So this should come as no surprise to anyone who's been watching this channel over the years that this award is being given to Marxists who fundamentally want to tear down the Constitution and destroy America, not only for profit, but also for maintaining power. Like, who could forget, if you've been around, Sophia Noble? She's a favorite of Barack Obama and is an Aspen Institute commissioner alongside Prince Harry. She is a notorious race baiter who propagated false narratives alongside Christopher Boozy. Now, I have done several videos talking about this woman, Sophia Noble. If you're interested in revisiting, please go ahead and check these 2 out to start with. But I have a full playlist that's set up called Stand Up for Free Speech that goes over the ins and outs of Harry and Meghan's involvement with censoring American speech. Now, there are 123 videos in this playlist, which goes to show how much work I have put in over the last 5 years on this one particular subject, in case you're new to this channel or interested in revisiting. After this latest video that Harry and Meghan put out, I think this playlist is going to come in handy.
That civil rights must evolve as fast as the technology that threatens them.
This year's recipient is someone whose work I find genuinely inspiring. A groundbreaking legal scholar, author, and president of the Cyber Civil Rights Initiative.
So Harry finds this arrogant woman particularly inspiring. Remember, this is a guy who showed up in 2020 and called the First Amendment bonkers.
Her book, Fearless Speech, asks a question that I think matters now more than ever.
Now, if you watched yesterday's video and the examples that I gave of the senators eviscerating this woman for actually undermining the First Amendment, then you can understand how breaking free from the First Amendment takes on a different connotation. These are people who want to tear down the Constitution and rebuild it for the world today. These are the most dangerous people in our society right now. Truly.
Her book, Fearless Speech, asks a question that I think matters now more than ever. When powerful people and powerful platforms claim to champion free speech, whose freedom are they actually protecting?
And this obviously was a dig at Elon Musk, because prior to buying over Twitter, these very same people didn't have an issue with the censorship that was going on the conservative right.
Dr. Franks makes the case, and I think she's right, that true free speech should serve democracy, not the interests of those who would dismantle it.
And this is the institutional gaslighting that the left have perfected so well. I'm telling you this now. Piss off, Harry, because you're not going to get out of this one.
It is our honor to announce that the 2026 NAACP Archwell Digital Civil Rights Award goes to Dr. Marianne Franks, a fearless woman at the forefront of the modern civil rights movement. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
As irritating as Harry and Meghan are, the good news is that yesterday's video that I did with the Senate hearing clips seemed to be making the rounds online, showcasing the true personality of who this woman is. It's now my hope that this is going to spark debate where more people are going to be talking about how Harry and Meghan have been undermining not only the Constitution, but violating American civil liberties. And this is what my biggest beef is with these two and why I will not let this go. The good thing is that I know that my viewers who have been following me for several years now understand what's going on. and can actually be the ones to educate others now that this conversation is going to be happening, which warms my heart more than anything else. But please don't forget that you learned it from the kid. I think many have seen that I've gone through a lot these past 5 years, from losing my first channel to then YouTube deranking this channel, and then on top of it, having to deal with the noise of someone who's been stalking me since 2023 and can't seem to keep my name out of their mouths when I have nothing to do with the people and the malicious stories being made up with the intention to cause harm. And I have these two to thank for that. What I see in front of me, in my opinion, is a national security threat, and is why the U.S. government needs to begin their course of action. And for those that say it's never going to happen, it's not a question of if, it's just a matter of when. And I have faith that things are going to happen. So enough about that. Let's get into something lighter. I saw this article in the Star magazine, the one that Meghan always turns to, but this time, it's not really Meghan. I think it's Prince William. Let me go ahead and read it and show you what I picked up on. Dramatic cover page with Meghan Markle looking cross-eyed. Not flattering at all. I think common sense tells us if Meghan was the one that gave this story, you think she would allow that photo to be on the cover page? Certainly not. Meghan and Harry, it's over. On 10-year anniversary, he moves to protect his $60 million fortune as she takes action to shield the kids. Inside their shattered Hollywood dream and the moment that tore them apart. Harry and Meghan. Trust, truth, and betrayal. As bombshell-filled new book challenges their version of events, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are facing fresh scrutiny, growing pressure, and a marriage at a crossroads. I feel like this whole entire psyops was made to feel like a soap opera. Hopefully they won't be renewing next year, because I don't think I can take another year of seeing their faces day in, day out, and dealing with this nonsense. Entertaining, but it's still nonsense. All right, let's begin. Royalty recognizes royalty. Prince Harry and wife Meghan were all smiles as they watched the NBA All-Star Game at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California, February 15th, seated next to Grammy-winning music star Queen Latifah, with former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama, Oscar nominee Teyana Taylor, and Destiny's Child singer Kelly Rowland cheering nearby. Cameras caught Meghan sweetly rubbing Harry's arm, encouraging him to wave to fans. It looked like another winning night out, the kind of high-profile date the couple have leaned into since moving from the UK to California 6 years ago. They make a big point to cozy up in public and show the world this us against the world vibe, a source tells Star. But behind the scenes, there is pressure. A new book by royal expert Russell Myers, William and Catherine, The Monarchy's New Era, The Inside Story, out March 10th, contradicts key parts of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's narrative about their fallout with the royal family and feud with his brother, Prince William, and his wife, Princess Catherine, all but accusing them of lying. At the same time, the couple's dwindling American dream is threatened by both Meghan's career misses and Harry's renewed interests in rejoining the royal family. As the source says, the hits keep on coming. A rep for the Sussexes tells Star allegations of problems within the marriage are totally and utterly false. Okay, so let me pause for a second. This is who I believe is behind this Star magazine cover story. Russell Myers, who's part of the Rhoda, has this book coming out March 10th about Princess Catherine and Prince William. And I think, and this is just my opinion, that just like how Meghan used Omid Scobie, I think Catherine and William indirectly used Russell Myers to communicate some of this stuff. The other thing that I want to add here is that it's rare in these pieces that we know Meghan is behind, we ever see the Sussexes comment on whether or not these allegations are true or false. And in this case, the fact that they did respond to say that it's utterly false just goes to show that they are not behind it. But continuing on, the new book, which is clearly pro-Prince and Princess of Wales, has reopened old wounds by refuting some of Harry and 44-year-old Meghan's most explosive claims. Harry opened his bombshell-filled 2023 memoir Spare, for example, with a detailed account of William physically assaulting him during a heated argument over Meghan's allegedly poor treatment of palace staff. She's denied the bullying. But an insider told the author that Harry's version of events, including being knocked to the floor, was massively overblown, framing the Duke's take as a cheap shot. According to the source, tensions were running very high, and yes, there certainly were crosswords exchanged that, on reflection, were regrettable. But William is adamant there was no physical violence. So you know what this tells us? That indeed there was a fight that happened with Prince Harry and William over Meghan's bad behavior, and that Harry took this story and wrapped a whole bunch of lies over it. I've always said that when Harry and Meghan lie, there's always a kernel of truth in the stories that they tell. Myers also writes that once Harry and Meghan decided they wanted to step down from the royal family in 2020, Catherine had less interest than William in trying to stop them, as she believed Harry quitting his royal duties was inevitable. Though Catherine had previously been a voice of reason amid William and Harry's increasingly fraught relationship, she realized she could do no more to bring the brothers together. Myers writes that she believed their fundamental differences as the heir and the spare had created the inevitability of Harry wanting more from his role than being a bit part player. According to the book, Catherine also decided the couple weren't to be trusted after they made stunning allegations, including claims the palace was harboring an unnamed royal racist in a 2021 interview, and that any future engagement with the two should be approached with the utmost caution. I think it's a lot more than just the 2021 interview. Let's not downplay what Oprah did here. There is no way that Catherine and William will ever trust these two again. Ever. You know, it's like beyond just an interview where Meghan accused somebody in the royal family of being racist. Think about all the things that have happened throughout the years and the attempts to sabotage Catherine and William at every turn. It's really not about trust anymore. This is really about safety. And I'm pretty sure Catherine and William don't want Meghan anywhere in vicinity of where they may be. Catherine and William were both wounded by the numerous accusations and the presentation of Harry and Meghan's truth, Myers adds, especially Harry's assertion that his brother was trapped in the royal system. Catherine, meanwhile, felt deeply let down over Meghan's disclosure of a private exchange, the infamous fight over the bridesmaids' dresses before the Sussex's 2018 wedding, which saw Meghan correcting reports she'd made Kate cry. Not for nothing, Meghan looked like a real petty bitch for doing that on Oprah. Like, it really was immature and stupid. But then again, we have to remember that Meghan has the maturity of an 11-year-old. The renewed scrutiny is just the latest blow for the Sussexes. Things haven't exactly gone to plan since Harry and Meghan decamped to their $14.6 million mansion, yeah, we know, in Montecito, California. They now share with son Archie and little Betty. Despite their claim they wanted to be financially independent, their success has been fleeting. After 2 seasons of declining ratings, the former Suits star's Netflix lifestyle show With Love, Meghan was not renewed for a 3rd season, for instance, while plans to expand her nearly 1-year-old food and home goods brand, As Ever Whatever, have yet to materialize. An earlier podcast venture fizzled, and the pair's $100 million Netflix deal was downgraded to a first-look deal. Even projects that showed promise haven't fully delivered. Despite positive reviews and packed screenings for Cookie Queens at the Sundance Film Festival in January, the Girl Scout documentary, executive produced by the Sussexes, reportedly failed to secure a distribution deal immediately following its premiere. And on February 16th came news that London's Hub Community Kitchen, the first charitable project Meghan backed as part of her royal work in 2018, had shut down. Meghan is very disappointed, says the source. It's yet another stick for her critics to beat her with, and a negative piece of news she could well do without. Then there is Project Thaw, the attempt of palace courtiers to facilitate a reconciliation between Harry and his ailing father, King Charles III, after they eased their estrangement last September in London with their first face-to-face meeting in more than 18 months. Harry told The Guardian that over the next year, the focus really has to be on my dad, who was diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago. It's been a moment of clarity for Meghan. After suffering in palace life, she has accused courtiers of failing to stop racist coverage of her in the UK press and said she felt so unsupported she contemplated unaliving herself early in their marriage. Harry's potential reconciliation stings, especially for someone who is estranged from her own father. She knows deep down that Harry will never stop being a royal and that their life together is contingent on her accepting that, says the source. After all his promises and plans for independence, it's a very tough pill to swallow. Now, I've said this quite a few times over, that there is no way Meghan is going to allow Harry to go back with his family and leave her, especially if she doesn't have someone better to take Harry's place. Oh, we know Meghan will become psychotic if the day ever comes that Harry goes back to his family and he ends up back on that balcony. Even worse if he finds another woman before she sinks her claws into somebody else. Yeah, I don't see it ending too well for these two. Either both of them end up behind bars or Doria and Meghan will push Harry to the edge. And I can see the latter happening. But there's no way that Meghan will allow Harry to go back to his family without her. Complicating matters is Harry's ongoing hope for security in the UK. In late 2025, the British government finally agreed to conduct a review of his safety needs, a move poised to open the door to a full-scale return for the couple and their children. Harry has been eyeing a return to Britain around Easter, the source tells Star, noting he'd like to head back with Meghan and the kids. Meghan, on the other hand, is desperate to protect her children from the royals. Having not returned since Queen Elizabeth II's funeral in 2022, she doesn't have any desire to set foot back into the lion's den, says the source, leaving Harry resigned to the possibility that once again he'll be making the trip by himself. It might not just be that trip. This summer marks a decade since Harry and Meghan met and fell in love. With their current issues, critics have questioned whether they'll make it to the anniversary. While a split could be devastating for Meghan, a source says Harry has safely stowed away his estimated $60 million fortune, including an estimated $10 million from his mother and $10 million from his late great-grandmother. Harry and Meghan did not sign a prenup. It's not the done thing in royal circles, says the source. Per California law, only assets and income earned by either spouse between the date of marriage and the date of separation are generally considered community property and are split 50-50. They had such high hopes when they came to America that things would go their way, says the source. But it's been one disaster or disappointment after another. There's simply no getting away from that. I personally think that now Prince Harry can't stand Meghan. And on this trip to Jordan, it was very clear that there was a lot of tension, as well as dirty looks that Harry was giving Meghan. He is over it. Do you see the difference and disconnect? Always Meghan sticks out like a sore thumb. It's a serious moment, and here is Meghan smiling ear to ear, posing for the camera, while Harry comes in with a neutral, somewhat serious face because of the serious situation. He's walking into a hospital room where a little girl was blown up in Gaza. Meghan, the stupid idiot that she is, fails to read the room again. At this point, Harry has to be embarrassed. He has to be embarrassed that his wife is so stupid. And this is the moment where I think you can see how much Harry resents Meghan. Because Meghan shoved herself in front there, smiling, shaking hands, and Harry is left behind her. He recognizes that she is a mistake, a very big one at that. Now remember, Jordan is a predominantly Muslim country where traditional gender roles do still apply. And in this case, being that Harry is the blood royal, which I do think Harry understands that, and as a man, Meghan pretty much emasculated him, making him walk behind her, which in the eyes of Muslim men is not very respectable. And at this point, I think Harry's just over it, because in this last clip, you can see how annoyed he is at Meghan for being so clingy and hanging on to him when it's not appropriate. Like, look how stupid this woman is. You're going to go stand for a group picture with professionals, and here you are clinging on to your husband like you're a 5-year-old. And it's like both claws that she has on him because he wouldn't hold her hand. And you can see, watching this small microsecond, her slipping her hand under his arm, and Harry looks down at her like, what the F are you doing? You can see Meghan's insecurity right here because she knows he's not pleased with her. And she absolutely hates that he's not doing what she wants. He literally is threatening her need to control. She hates it. Yeah, this pretty much looks done. I don't see Harry getting out from under this thing. Yeah, there certainly was a lot more going on with this trip than many of us really understand. I think Harry and Meghan really stepped in it this time. Now, some people are of the opinion that this trip to Jordan was to butter up to Shabana Mahmood since she has a soft spot for Free Palestine and the people of Gaza. Perhaps maybe thinking that this would sway her decision to give Harry back his security. And then there's another group of people who have the opinion that Harry is doing this to show the UK government that he is a valuable asset and that can step up to the plate and represent the UK government internationally, as well as show his father that he is there to step in because the family is now stretched thin. Like, we all know that Harry and Meghan are supportive of the Labour government because essentially they are the Democratic Party of the UK. Yeah, I don't doubt that Harry has been trying to cozy up to the Labour government, especially with Yvette Cooper. For those that don't know, Yvette Cooper is the equivalent to our Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. So she handles all these foreign countries and diplomatic relationships. So she would be the one, if at all, being behind this trip to Jordan. And from what I'm seeing, it appears that Yvette Cooper is pretty fond of Prince Harry. And this is the concerning thing that I have here, because the last thing we need is Harry being granted back his status and having access to intelligence. Don't think that it hasn't gone unnoticed that Harry was literally just in the Middle East before these strikes on Iran. We have to take in consideration and factor in who Harry's father is, which is the king. The king, if you haven't noticed, the king is heavily tied to the Middle East. And that's because the Middle East has been reliant on the British financial system. But since Trump has gotten into office, what has Trump been doing? He's been dismantling all of that and reconstructing it through the Board of Peace. So one shouldn't be afraid to ask, did Harry really go there for humanitarian efforts, or did he go there to receive or give intelligence? I don't have an answer for that, but it is definitely something to chew on. And this is why I find Harry and Meghan so dangerous. You have two very dishonest and deceitful people who are being treated like heads of state in foreign countries, even though they are acting in a private capacity, but with access to high-profile political figures. That should make everybody uneasy, considering they're not representing any country publicly. Are they representing the UK? I don't know. Are they representing the US? Definitely not. Could Harry be secretly representing China or Russia? It's possible. And that's why this trip was a bad move. It doesn't look good for the royals. It doesn't look good for Harry and Meghan. In fact, it just makes Harry and Meghan look like a national threat. You know, at this point, you have to question everything. Harry has been over here in the United States for the last 5 years, undermining this country. Who's to say that he didn't go to Jordan to try to sabotage the Board of Peace? I mean, that's not a far stretch. Harry came here in 2020 and interfered with our 2020 election. I mean, it's a well-known fact. He and Meghan hate Donald Trump. And we know that these two are driven by money. So who knows if somebody dangled some sort of check in front of them to do this? Those are things that people should be asking, people need to be looking into, and people need to be cautious and paying attention to what these two have been doing. And no, these two are not doing this by themselves. Obviously, there are some dark forces behind them. The question is, who are those dark forces? The one thing is for sure, though, it's clear Harry is miserable, and I think he's getting more and more desperate as the days go on because the walls are definitely closing in on him, and Harry knows that his time in the US is almost up. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Definitely let me know your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
Such a fraud.